Alright, hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today we are continuing my playthrough of Spyro Prototype Chilled. And as soon as we got into Blowhard, which in this version is just called Boss, we get dialogue. So the dialogue says, "This boss seems to keep his magic under his hat. That may be the secret, so watch closely." Alright, and then we get this cutscene of Blowhard putting hats on the wizards, on the ice wizards. Okay? And at first you may think, is this just an aesthetic thing? But after doing some testing, I found out that it is not. So if you try to flame them, you get that animation. They laugh at you. They say, no. But if you flame their hat, it turns out not only are they bald, but they can't hit you anymore. They lose their power. And then you can flame them. Now, the only thing I can think of as to why that they would backtrack on this is because maybe they thought it was too hard for children. But as a senior Spyro player who's been playing the same game over and over again for decades, as you will hear me say often, I find it quite invigorating and almost a bit of a challenge, because keep in mind, we are in a boss level, which means we do not have access to fodder for sparks. And for those who aren't savvy or privy to Spyro language, sparks need fodder. Oh. Because sparks is your hit point. So I just lost a hit point. I am blue, that means I can only have green, nothing, and then death. So, yeah, and again, they freeze in the way that they are when you take the hat off. It's very, very interesting and a very cool mechanic. I think out of everything we have seen so far, this is the biggest change throughout the game and I don't know. I mean, I look at all these guys and I think, okay, I can see this being too challenging, but what I don't understand is why they would get rid of the topic altogether, or the idea, or the concept altogether, because to me, I think you could just take a few of these guys out, and even though it would be more difficult, maybe for children, it would be doable, and it's still really cool. Now, my critique is, in the final version of Blowhard, I always end up completing Blowhard too quickly. I always feel like I haven't spent long there. And I think this mod actually makes, this decision actually makes the level last longer and harder. I'm already out of sparks, y'all. I already lost my sparks. And another thing they changed. Do you recognize this? Do you recognize this? No, you don't, because it's not normally there. Very interesting. So now we have to try to get through all of this without losing any hit points, and with accepting that we need sparks. As you can see, the hat treatment is the same for these druids, which is really neat. And in order to get the door open, you have to get the hat off of them. Now look right here. What's missing? The dragon room. So for some reason, instead of keeping the dragon at the end of that deck like they had back there, like I just showed you, they instead moved it and put a whole room here just for the dragon. And then this is a little different as well. We've got, I think, one extra section of the druids with their platforms. There's a lot of druid noise going on in here. We have wow and wow and wow, and then it's very interesting. A lot of druid chaos happening in this room. And then, as you can see, there is a little flame chest over here, which is quite neat. I don't think that made it to the end, so I imagine they felt like maybe it was in the way, but see, this makes sense to me because these were always here. And when you charge, you kind of just end up nowhere, but to me, it's like the chests are leading you to the dragon. So, this dragon says, "Cheers, Spyro. Keep after that boss. That nameless boss." So, yeah, now we've got to see if we can face Blowhard 2 more times without dying. I'm gonna try to get him to just activate a little bit. There we go. That way we don't get struck by lightning. Because when he's up high, things are not good. It's very easy to lose a hit point. So we've still got our dynamite chest. And then we've got this one last hit, y'all. Oh no! Oh no. That was not very chill of me, but the good news is that we do, despite not having fodder, have a checkpoint. And that checkpoint was not too far from where we needed to be. But yeah, the steering and the camera, it's just there's stuff that's happening that's a little too quick and jerky, and it makes the game a bit harder than I'm used to. But you know what? We'll take it. We will take it. Let's see if we've got all the gems. I believe that we will have. Yes, there's our 5-pointer needed to complete the 300, and we are golden. Returning home. Oh, what a noise. What a noise. What was that about? That wasn't very chill, was it? Alright, so we're at 7 minutes, so I vote we go ahead and check out the flying level, which is quite literally called flying. And as we've talked about in a previous part, the room is a different color. It's a bit more of a pinkish red as opposed to, I think, a bluey purple color. I think the lighting ends up being like a bluish purple. And we have 20 seconds. Oh my goodness, what in the world? What? Excuse me? What? Okay. Well, this might take us a few times. And I don't know, what is that? What is that about? Why are we instantly in countdown mode? That feels a bit overwhelming. But it's okay, because, well, what other choice do we have? We don't. We are chilled today, and we're not going to get stressed out about how little time we have for the really annoying ding, 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 ding that makes us feel like our world is about to end. We don't need to be worried about it. We have decided that it's just better to be calm and not be stressed. So we will do our best to get everything else here. We really need those airplanes, we really do. And we need the arches, and I don't know, we're still missing one. And I bet you 0.1 seconds. By the time we got the arch, it did give us 0.2, but we had, as you can see, 0.1 seconds left, and we did it. We did it. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, those of you who are better at numbers than me, but I am fairly certain that we get more time than that in the final version. we have completed Magic Crafters and Spyro Prototype Chilled, and one of the coolest things that I think we got to experience was the two balloonists and the two balloonist points in Magic Crafters that do not make it to the final game. And I think the second coolest thing that we experienced was in this episode where we checked out Blowhard, which is just called Boss, and saw how vastly different that level was. So as we recap, let's talk to the balloonist and move on to Beastmakers for the next part. So he says, I can take you to Beastmaker's world now. Go or stay? We will go, and we're still dealing with these interesting little placeholder cutscenes. And then boom, we are in Beastmakers, and looky there. A balloonist actually stays right here. And I imagine we'll still have the one at the balloon dock later when we go to Dreamweavers, but we will see when we complete Beastmakers in the next part. So if you like this content, please like, subscribe, turn on notifications. I really appreciate you all, and I will see you in the next part.